make this happen.
Hi, good morning. Today is August 15th, 2019, and we're about to begin our work session. If we could all stand for the pledge. Catherine, you want to lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And as happens in August, Jim Wooten and Tim Hubbard are out for today, so we have a small board here today, but we're going to we're just continuing to do our advisory committee annual reports, and today we have our open space committee. So if you'd like to come up, and we are on camera, so we're going to have you introduce yourselves when you come up.
Do you care where we sit?
Nope.
Nope, whatever's you're most comfortable with.
Don't say that.
No laying across the
They'll
table.
be in the- No, he'll be in the audience. So we'll start with Janice.
I'm Janice Leonti, and I am the chair of the Open Space Park Preserve Committee. And I became chair 2 months ago. Previously it was Charles Cetus.
Good. Oh, yeah, if you lift up a little bit. There you go,
There you
you're
go.
getting.
She's shrinking.
There, that feels better. I felt like I was back in kindergarten. I'm Nancy Gilbert, and I've been a member of the committee since 2010, and I'm
Thank you.
vice chair.
Yes, you are vice chair.
I became vice chair when Janice became chair.
Okay, very good.
That's a lot of years.
It is a
Good
lot of
job.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been
You've been
on
longer.
the committee since I think 2008 or 9.
Oh, very good.
So
That's great.
So
Thank
you're
you
well
guys.
versed.
Thanks for your community
hopefully.
service.
Yeah, you've done a lot of great
You know
work
what,
over the years.
these are our microphones, and I'm just getting a signal from the booth there, just that when you speak, if you could just speak up a little so they can hear you in the,
That's no problem for us.
Okay.
And I'll just start out by saying you've done a lot of work over the last 10 years,
Thank
so I
you.
thank you for that, including the Sound Avenue Preserve,
Mhm.
and then also working with the state parks. I know I attended several meetings with Nancy when they were designing the state park in,
Oh,
Halleckville State Park.
Halleckville State Park. I
So-
thought you were gonna mention Norfolk Preserve, too.
Well, the North Fork Preserve too, that was the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
so, done a
Very
lot of great
cool.
work over the years, thank you.
It's a key role in town. We need this.
Well, we all benefit from it, so it's
Mhm.
appreciated.
Well, that's the way we feel, and, we have a lot of ups, as you said, and a few downs, and you're well aware that there's a funding problem, for us with
Mhm.
to purchase space.
Right.
I wanted to give you an overview of the members and our current activities because of that.
Okay.
So let me just read through this real quick, and then if
Mhm.
there are any questions, that'd be great. The members of the committee, as said, myself, Nancy, and it's Charles Cetus also, and Marjorie Acevedo. Councilman Wooten is our liaison to the board, and Deputy Town Attorney Anne Marie Prudente is our counsel. So all of us together bring different areas of expertise to this committee. And we have a really unique ability to all figure things out with our different areas of expertise. So it's a great committee. We are looking for a new member. And, we've reached out ourselves to people we know and all. But we feel the ideal candidate would have knowledge of properties throughout the town of Riverhead and be able to assist us in our stewardship program going forward. So we'd appreciate any assistance you might be able to give us in reaching out and finding a new member for our committee.
Okay, and it's very helpful because this does get
Mhm.
televised, so anybody that's interested,
Yes.
they can just contact our town clerk, Diane Wilhelm.
Okay.
At Town Hall, you can just go on the website, they can send if they like a
Perfect.
cover letter in, or a resume in, or an interest in, with some contact information, and then we can refer that back over to the committee for you guys to, speak with
Great,
them.
that'd be excellent. We use the parcel rating system that's on the top of the packet I gave you, to go to sites and assess them and either approve or reject them for preservation.
Do you have one more additional copy
Sure.
of this? Thank
The-
you. Just because when we share, we share.
No, I have
with
a
the
couple
audience.
of copies
So if we
here.
need some more.
So what we
Thank you.
do is we use that parcel rating system, and we have approved and rejected in the past different parcels for preservation. Now, at this point, there's a lack of funds to make property purchases. So going forward, we're doing stewardship of the existing preserved parcels. The stewardship form is the next form that we have there. We developed that ourselves in the committee recently.
She gave a packet to Nancy, even though she knows it.
There you go. Yeah, she knows it by heart.
Yes.
But, so for stewardship, what we do is we identify on each existing preserved property what's needed or what we desire for for it. It could be things that need repair work, or it could be something that's just, would really enhance the site. Say Sound Avenue Preserve, although I don't bicycle down Sound Avenue, a lot of people do, and it might be nice to have a bike rack there. There are trash receptacles needed at some places. And we're also looking to open access to a lot of the existing sites. I guess people don't even know are preserved and they have access to.
And so do you have a list of all, like, because when things get preserved, they get preserved in a certain manner, whether they're a Hamlet Park or they're to remain the same and things like that?
Do we have a master list
The
of
master
everything?
list,
Yes,
yes.
we do. We do have that. What we're going to do today for you is, after, I give you my overview, Nancy's going to go through just a few of our preserved parcels, and give you a background on them. And we're going to keep up with the stewardship now of visiting the sites and doing this and really, using the sign that we brought in, having those signs at every preserved spot that we have with the community preservation.
Ta-da.
So.
Yeah.
I like the
Yeah.
sign.
And, kudos to our highway department, they produced that sign
Sign up.
for us.
Very
So,
good.
so that was really key. We wanted to be very distinctive, that people at a glance could see that's an open space sign. Not just another street sign or something like that. So I think the public will get a better idea of where we preserve properties.
And there is grant funding available for stewardship on some of these parcels, so
Great.
I think that having that, either if Jim wants to bring some of that forward, or if you want to make recommendations to the board about certain parcels, or, an overall, 1 to 2 year plan of what you'd like to see with some type of budget associated with that. I know there's even grants for removing invasive species and things like that, and there's also, some groups, environmental groups that you can do internships over the summer.
Right.
That would be available to do some trail work and to do some of the
Right.
removal or cleanup, so.
Well, one thing that the committee does ask is that anytime there's any improvements or work being done on any of our existing open space parcels, that it's presented to us at one of our monthly meetings first. Because we'd like to make sure that it's appropriate for the site and in the right nature for the use of the site, and it will be an improvement.
Or placement,
Right.
like a
Yeah.
bench or something.
Yes, yeah, and with the stewardship forms that we're doing now for each parcel, they'd be an excellent resource for, say, someone contacts the town and says, we wanna do a project or donate a bench. There it is, on paper, where, the priority, we don't have to make a lot of phone calls back and forth and say, what do we need?
Yep.
It's all there for you.
Very
That would be
good.
great, because I work with a lot of the scouts, and they're always calling me for Eagle Scout projects.
Right.
So we could possibly do some Eagle Scout projects on some
Sure.
of the preserved
And
land
that was done at Sound Avenue Nature Preserve.
with the
It was a
birdhouses.
surprise to us, we didn't know, so what we'd like,
You should see
but
it.
just be able to review the project before it goes forward. And then, we can make recommendations, or, we can say, let's tweak that or something.
Especially on plantings and things, we're really trying to only introduce native
Absolutely.
vegetation to the preserves. Even though they have some invasive stuff on them, we're trying
To limit that
Yeah.
and not encourage it.
Yeah.
Well, and I would think if
Absolutely.
it's a structure, you want it to blend in with the
We
surroundings.
want it to blend in. We want birdhouses that are actually suitable to, as
the native-
nesting boxes that
Right,
can be
nest
cleaned out,
boxes,
that
right.
aren't just gonna rot when,
Mm.
so they're, just practical considerations,
Mhm.
but.
And I think the communication, I think, is important. I think to be able to streamline that and everybody work together, I think,
Right.
is important going forward.
Yeah,
Maybe
that,
we
that's
should
the thing.
let engineering know.
Yes, yeah.
Engineering is usually always involved first to try and
Mhm.
figure out whether our permits are needed or not, but I thought with the birdhouses, with the Eagle Scout project, they did come with you first, because Jim Wooten was very active in that.
There have been 2 times there have been bird nest boxes placed at Sound Avenue Preserve. The first ones really fell apart when we went for our
Within a
stewardship.
couple of years.
Yeah, they really weren't appropriate to the site, you know. And the ones that were put up recently, again, the same thing. They look very nice, and the new benches that were put in with that Eagle Scout project look very nice. But as we said, if it can come through us first, that's great.
We can make suggestions about appropriate materials.
Yeah,
and,
sustainable.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
honestly, that's the whole point of the Eagle Scout project, is to learn the channels to go
Exactly.
through and to be able to do their project. So
okay,
I think
yeah.
that is, maybe what we'll do is have one of the Scoutmasters speak to you guys.
Yeah.
Right.
To, just
Yeah,
to,
We
so they can
understand the
understand.
intents are totally admirable.
Oh,
and we're
absolutely.
not- We don't
Yeah.
mean to be critical of the, but it could have a better end result.
Yeah.
Right.
A
Sure,
more
but I think
long-lasting end
you make a
result.
good point, it's good for them to learn the process too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
They're
it's part of
putting-
the project,
Right,
is all
and they're
of that
putting all
going to
this
the
time and
channels.
effort in, let's make sure that it's something that everybody really wants.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And, you know, in terms of our stewardship, we go to as a group, we go to the site, we make our assessments, we get together at our next meeting and put all this information together, fill out the form. If that form and that information doesn't go outside of our meeting, it's useless and it's a waste of our time.
Mhm.
So what we are looking now towards is we need either to present to the town board in its entirety, or we need someone to help us run with it in terms of where does that stewardship form go with our requests or desires.
Well, the way it should work is you have your liaison, we have every other week at our work sessions, we have our committee report. So that is one avenue to bring it back that way. The other avenue is if you have a recommendation, so as advice, you can write it up as an advisory to
Okay.
the town board. I think that would probably be the most appropriate thing. You could do it up as an advisory resolution, or you could do it up as an advisory letter to the town board that can get presented to us. And I think that it'll also help, you know, as grants come up, everybody will be aware, and we'll have you know, the recommendations that we can,
You can't put stuff
we,
on these.
we can
That's
use,
okay.
so.
Now, this is a copy of our application for
Funding.
funding. And,
Do you have
you know,
another one, or we get one?
oh,
to
yes,
the
that's
front?
right.
And should I give one to?
Give
Yes.
one to John, he'll take care of it.
Uh,
Just real quick, do we know the overall number of how many preserved properties we have?
I don't know the overall number.
Emery has that. She has a whole, Emery has a map of Riverhead too that shows all the parcels.
Give me a ballpark figure.
Well, it's 3 pages long.
All right.
Here it is.
Okay.
Well, the reason I'm asking is I was wondering if we could put it on the list on the website, or a link to the list, just so
This
people,
is
if people wanted
farmland
to
and
know.
open space.
Right,
Is
so
that
I
the
think,
total?
I think, you know, I think there's, like you said,
I-
there's 2 categories.
I
There's
could
one where
count.
somebody can go to,
Yeah.
and that you're looking to create access for people to enjoy
Right.
the preserved space, and then there's the farmland preserved space. So we can, I think maybe if we could charge the committee with kind of
Mhm.
maybe
They're-
breaking up what you would like people, sort of the public access
Yes.
ones,
Yeah,
I
they're
think
not
maybe
all
the
pu-
one.
yeah. There's 17 total open space purchases listed here, roughly 17. But they're not all public access, so that, yes, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I just feel like the town, it wouldn't be nice for people to know.
Right, and that's.
And that's
again,
part of the
s-
sign
Sign, yeah,
project,
right.
yeah.
So Nancy, do you wanna go through a couple of those, spaces there?
Sure.
Once again.
Could have T-shirts made up of that for your
Something,
town.
Yes. And I think I'll start, not where I was
Would
going to
raise money.
start, which was in 2003 with the Esposito property, but I think I'll start with Kobelinsky, because that's one that's in our funding request. And that was property purchased in 2008, 41 acres, and it contains 3 kettle holes, which are
Is that on
wonderful.
this one?
It's in the funding, yes.
Okay, I'm just wondering, because I know you have pictures of everything here with that,
Yes, I
so.
do, and do I have Kobelinsky?
It's in there, I saw it.
Kobelinsky, so Only one set of these, but
Okay.
it shows you, what the property
Ooh,
is
it's
like.
pretty.
So there's a wonderful meadow area, and then there are very wooded kettle holes, which are, as you know, rare, geological formations, and it's beautiful. And at this point, there is no public
It is.
access, so, we would love to be able to, create a small parking area, a kiosk explaining the importance of the,
How was this preserved? Do you know what the preservation category is?
yes.
Of course, part of the problem is when you preserve the land, if you don't include the improvements during the preservation, it sometimes becomes a little bit of a challenge. You may have to go back.
This was
And
a
redo it.
total town purchase, county was not involved.
Yeah, so you
It was
could
done
do,
in 2008. Open space.
All right, we just have to go back and look at if there's any restrictions on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
Anne Marie, do
I-
you know? Just come up, we're making you come up.
You knew you were gonna end up here.
Here she is.
Not to complicate one,
Right.
but it's, you know,
Easier than
it's,
yelling.
we need to identify all these.
So, we have done it in the past, and the law provides that if we purchase a parcel for open space, and we then determine that it's appropriate for, public access as a quote, park, we can amend the preservation plan, and we actually did that.
We did.
And we documented on the record, and the town board votes to amend the preservation plan.
And that was done for this site already?
That was done for Sound Avenue
Sound
Preserve.
Avenue Preserve, yes.
Okay.
but it was
It has
bought
not
with
been done.
CPF funds, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, and the CPF since then has been changed to allow for stewardship of the land and water quality and things of that nature, so.
Yeah, and it allows for public access.
Yeah,
Um,
that's great.
So
Looks like
it-
you need
so-
$12,000 according to this.
And this
Right,
parcel is
so
perfectly.
obviously-
We'll just, let's one
Yeah.
person.
So
Sure.
obviously, if the town board didn't approve a funding request for them, I wouldn't begin the process necessary to make it, public access for that open space parcel.
So just so you're aware of that, so
They-
you would
they
do
are,
it,
they
you
did.
would do, yeah, okay, so you would
Yeah.
just do it
Yeah.
jointly, so,
Yeah.
you know, as we get funding for each one of the ones, we can
Right.
turn everything over and switch it around.
And at this particular site, Koblenski, we're not looking to do a very formal parking area. We wanna keep it in tune with what's existing there now. So it would be just, the properties on Depot
Impervious
Road,
service.
just a very simple mown area that, and then a trail through the field that leads to the woodland area, and that would be.
There's
Yeah,
only
I-
one set of
you
those, but
have
there's a
them
little
in
picture,
your-
yeah, I think you do,
You
yeah.
have them in your packet that you gave us on,
You know, with each individual, site, of course, that's, again, where our stewardship comes in. We're not looking to just, you know,
Plop
go
it
and
and go.
plop stuff in, and, you know, we wanna be very sensitive to how the property's used and how the public access is developed.
like the DEC areas have the split rail fence
Mm-hmm.
with an opening that you can access
Right, mm-hmm,
with a gravel parking lot.
right, right.
So just out of curiosity, have you prioritized these when you've done, like you have 1, 2, and 3, are they in your priority
The
order?
priorities are in our
Pri-
funding requests, those are at this.
But like
point.
you have, like this is site 1, is that your first priority, that's what,
Yes.
I would
pr-
say so,
Yeah,
yeah.
because
Okay.
it's the most up and running, and it really needs a little bit of tender love and care.
Yeah, we did
Um,
plant, and in fact, I know Jody, you were there when we had the opening, the
Yes.
grand opening of the preserve. We did a planting at the time when we developed the preserve, and, Building and Grounds was wonderful, you know, they did bring the water truck in but there's a certain amount of things we lost, you know, over the years, plant material wise. So we're looking to replace that, particularly in the area close to where we have the parking. You know, we want it to become a more natural looking area, not, you know, around that parking lot.
you know who did a nice job with the plantings over there so that they don't have to be watered and using the natural vegetation? It was actually over at Halleck. Some of the plant species that they used over there.
In the nature area of the
I-
Halleck Museum,
Yeah,
in the corner
in-
by the park?
Yeah, I think that they used stuff that was sustainable without
They did, but they
have
did,
water.
did a lot of, there's nothing that you can plant that doesn't need water until it's established.
Well, that I agree, but I
Yeah.
mean, just moving forward
Yeah,
after that,
yes.
yeah.
Nancy and I, developed the plant planting plan for the Sound Avenue Nature Preserve, and we kept that in mind, the native species, things that would probably do a little bit
Well-
better.
Janice, as you know, is a landscape
I was just
designer.
gonna say
Yeah.
that.
And I'm a master gardener.
Right.
I don't know what that means.
It's very
but-
helpful that
As
you
I
both
said at
have
the
It means
these-
you wanna see everything grow, and when it
Yes.
doesn't grow, it's upsetting.
She's the master gardener.
No, it's helpful to have people with such expertise on this committee.
Well, that's,
Certainly comes in
as I
handy.
said in the beginning, we all bring a little something to it, and Anne Marie cracks the whip over us, and there,
Yep.
there you have it.
So maybe we
They have
should
your
talk
lock
a
and
little
load
bit,
statement
Yeah.
down.
a little bit about Sound Avenue Preserve, since it's, so that
Sure.
was purchased in 2006. It was a combination of 2 lots for a total of 15.3 acres. There is a parking lot with a lot of native plantings, nesting boxes, benches, and trails. It's a wonderful transition from the parking lot through an old field, up through woodlands, and ending up in a meadow, sort of at the highest elevation, which is a wonderful place to sit and watch birds, especially raptors. So it's not a huge piece of property, but it's a very pleasant and accessible piece of property. So we'd like to make sure that it's really welcoming, and the parking lot is in good shape, and it has a bicycle rack, and
Yeah, so I can talk to the Alternative Transportation Committee about bike racks
Okay.
and things of that nature in the places where you see fit. But I think, as the supervisor said, it's important for us to know in each preserve exactly what you're looking for, so that we can
Right.
either bundle grant funding applications together for all of the preserves, or identify each one separately.
Right, hence our stewardship forms that we're filling out, so it'll all be on paper, you know,
Right.
it's all
but these 3,
Prioritized.
the requests we've made now are the 3 that we think are top priority.
Sure.
And we've got a lot of properties still to visit.
yes,
we
do.
And we're trying to avoid high tick season.
I know, right? Yeah. The other question is so that if money is invested into the parks, could you please also include whatever you think the yearly maintenance would be?
Yes.
To maintain them once their money is invested in them, because I think that's part of the issue also.
And the town board should be aware that the proposed funding request, engineering went through it line by line.
Yes.
And ran the prices for everything, so there really are true numbers, and they did their homework. And for instance, on Kobelinsky, when it talks about the mode path, it's mode path and maintenance of the path that engineering calculated in.
Oh, so you're doing that.
Yes.
Great.
So,
And engineering overall has been extremely helpful to us, as
Yes,
has
yeah.
the highway department. They've been very cooperative and helpful. Not having any dedicated staff, they don't really have to respond to us, but they've been.
Well, they do, because this is part of Maine, I mean, this open space is what they spend a lot of taxpayers on
Yeah,
in
yeah.
purchasing and helping, so the town is responsible for upkeep too, so.
Yeah.
Yes, and we're in the process of looking at our budget for next year, getting a new person in buildings and grounds, seeing as our parks have expanded, and we have the rec trail at EPCAL now, and
Right.
other things that are going on. You know, our building and grounds has been
Right.
chopped back year after year, so we're in need of additional people in there. So working with engineering on that and trying to get more people, because it's a lot of
Great.
time
It
to
is.
load up a mower, unload a mower,
Yes.
go from park to park, and make sure everything's
Sure.
the way it should be. And all of that is done in March, April, preparing for the summer months, so.
Right, right.
Is there an opportunity, aside from grants or whatever, that there would be money for these stewardship requests in the budget, in the town
I
budget?
mean, as yearly maintenance for
Yes.
stewardship. That's kind of what we're asking you, what something, you know, I mean, to have the conversation, we kinda need to know what the number is doing, if it's something we could incorporate into the staff that we have already, and just basically what the workload is.
Okay.
And
When would you need that information?
Now.
We're in the process of
Always that.
in the process of budget season. The final budget comes the end of September, but we're in the process of doing it. You can call my office, we can have a conversation, about it.
And Catherine is
and-
liaison to engineering, so, you know, if you
Okay.
feel that something needs to be done with one of the parks and what have you, you can reach out to Catherine.
Happy to help.
Well, you were a great help when we had you as
Oh,
our
thanks.
liaison.
I just do have to say what a great group this is.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
And anyone that joins up will enjoy their work here, and Anne Marie is really a big help to them as well.
Absolutely. So do you have another?
Yeah, why don't we talk about Weeping Willow, which is our smallest preserve, and that's also on the funding request. That's only half an acre, and as you know, the state provided funding to demolish what was a hideous, old, falling down motel on that property. So now it's a kayak launch with a parking facility and picnic tables, access to the Peconic River, and we would like to plant a willow tree to give it some.
You mean there's not a willow tree?
There's
there?
no
Isn't,
willow tree.
no, but when
How
we
did-
went,
oh.
you know, we said, wow, it really needs a weeping willow.
It needs a weeping willow, and it needs some vegetation. There is a fence on private property that is probably one of the uglier fences I've ever seen. And it would make it so much more welcoming to people if that were camouflaged, at least in part, by some vegetation. Now it's a metal fence with woven plastic through it, white plastic through it. It's really
Not
Anne
natural?
Marie, I feel like we
no,
talked
not
about
natural,
this.
about as far from natural as you can get.
Yeah, it's on the east side of the property, the park property, and it's a adorable little space, but the fence is just so
Off-putting.
offensive.
Yeah, it's pretty off-
that-
it's pretty off-putting.
So that we really, when we were there, we said, wow, if that were just screened out, this would be even more adorable.
So Nancy, you have some before and after photos of that, right?
I do, thank you.
Well-
And Anne Marie, could someone donate if they chose to? Can a tree?
Yes,
Like if
as a
we have
matter
so
of,
many
This is,
growers here.
yes,
as
you
a
can
matter
see
of
what
fact,
it
I
was
didn't wanna
like
speak
before.
out of turn, but, someone contacted Janice and was interested in
Oh, that's right.
donating
That happened
Mhm.
while I was
Yes,
for
yeah.
working with you
an
guys.
open space project or more than one.
Right.
Mhm.
So what we would like to do, if there is a donation, come to us, and we're trying to keep either native species, or if it's a area where there are deer, you know, deer-resistant varieties of things. So before we have a donation, we would like to maybe make a list of things that would be appropriate for the site. So, so that would be great for Weeping Willow, you know, we'd love to do it. We don't have deer there, but we do have, you know, we would like to keep it native species, nothing invasive.
And this is access to the Blue Ways Trail too,
Yes.
right? So,
Yes.
okay.
Mhm.
So I think that's, you know, I think a lot of people don't know or realize that these things are here, so I think
That's
Um,
absolutely right.
maybe as, not to give you more on your plate, but as we're going through, you know, these areas that are available for public access, what's there? Because a lot of people will just say, oh, I have Saturday afternoon, I wanna do stuff, I wanna go out and walk around, but unless you drive by, there's no way to just say, okay, I can go for a hike here, I can launch my kayak over there, so I think that, would be helpful also.
Yeah, even at Sound Avenue Nature Preserve, it's a very easy hike.
Mhm.
It's a gently ascending property, it's not like a hike way uphill, and that's nice, it's not a long hike, you know, so if
Oh, the
someone's.
three of us only want very strenuous.
But, you know, if someone just wants to,
Lots of
like you said, not like a really strenuous hike, it's wonderful, it really is.
But
for
putting
them.
this information on the website in a way that's
Oh, sure.
accessible is a
Mhm.
really good idea,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so we can talk about lots of other properties. Is there anything that you're particularly interested in or have questions about? I think some of the things that we're very interested in going forward are, of course, the town's relationship with the county for North Fork Preserve and Sharpers Hill. So we know that with Sharpers Hill, the town has responsibility for development and maintenance. We have walked that property, and begun the process of thinking about appropriate trails, but we couldn't determine the boundaries of the property
Okay.
adequately, so we couldn't make much progress there. We think there is some dumping going on the property.
Okay.
We know that there needs to be a parking facility, but
There's a loosely drawn plan that you guys have seen, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, and we
So-
started with that as a,
Okay.
yeah.
That was a big win for the town and for the residents of Jamesport,
Yes,
Sharpers
it
Hill.
sure was, oh my gosh. The
Very
resident
thankful
of
to
Jamesport,
Nancy
I-
for that.
They also have a very active civic there.
Yes,
So,
oh, yeah.
yeah, so I don't know if it may be the thought to maybe partner with the Civic and the
Yes.
town,
Yes,
or,
it
you
is.
know, might be something to help it move along, at a faster pace.
Well, the first thing we need to do is
Get the
determine
boundaries.
the boundaries.
Yes,
Right,
and-
so
and
I
Because
will-
even the area of dumping is sort of adjacent to residential.
It could be on somebody's
could be their
property, but
property,
it could be in the park.
Right.
I will talk to planning,
Yeah.
to see if we can get the boundaries mapped out,
Mhm.
but we'll coordinate everything so we have the time, so once the boundaries are marked,
Great,
we don't lose them, we can
Great.
sort of plan right from,
and we know, we're very aware that this is historically sensitive, so we intend to have an explanatory sign at the parking lot, but not designate where the remains are.
So why don't you just talk about that a little, because I thought it was so interesting.
The archaeological
The
significance.
Yes.
archaeological significance, yeah, so this is one of the oldest burial sites, it's really from, the first period of Indian, Native American, inhabitants here on the North Fork. And there was one of the similar period on the South Fork, which has been destroyed in construction. And this is one of the last, I think it is the only remaining site. Things have been removed from the site, and we certainly don't want digging to go on now. And it was placed there because, at that point, it was not wooded at the top of Sharpers Hill, and you had a view out across the bay, to the far shore, so they always wanted, their ancestors to be buried at a place where you had
see.
these yeah. So it's a very why it's called Sharpers Hill.
Nobody
we've
knows, right?
never-
I know.
That'd be nice to know that.
and-
They've tried.
You know,
right,
my
yeah.
husband has done a lot of research on, there is a poem, called Sharpers Hill that was written in something like 1823, and that's the first reference to it, but nobody has, you know, we think sharpshooters during, but who knows, so.
A lot of
We can
lore.
either leave
Yeah.
it be, or we
A lot
can
of-
make something up.
Yeah.
Well, let's not make something up.
But it's a wonderful, it's a wonderful
Perfect
location.
answer.
Okay.
There are some deer blinds in the park now.
Yes, there are.
Too, so there are some encroachments that,
Oh,
but
sure.
once we get the boundaries established, and I know the Civic is very interested in working with us on
Well, I
that.
think we need to attend to the dump, now, is the dumping something that happened a long time ago, or you think it's
No.
happening now?
No, it's.
We'll just send
uh,
code enforcement over there,
yeah,
take a
I
look
think
what's
we
going
need
on
to-
there.
We
and-
encountered the same thing at Koblenski, where you walk into the wooded area, now this is the property that has the kettle holes and all.
Right.
Where you approach the residential, which would be off Deep Hole Road, there's very fresh dumping of cut trees, many cut trees, you know. But again, it's adjacent to residential property, and we don't know the exact boundaries, so we can't say, yes,
So
it
code
absolutely
enforcement.
is.
So
Yes.
there
So
was-
would it be easy for them to find, or
Well,
do you
we-
wanna direct them to where the
It's,
spot is?
sometimes it's hard to discern without a survey where the lines are, they
That's
get
exact-
blurred over
exactly.
time.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's, you know, a foot encroachment this year, there's a 2-foot encroachment 5 years later, and all of a sudden you're 10 years into a lot, and you,
Right.
without the survey, you don't know who's
Well, we have a
belongs
survey.
to who, so.
We have a survey, we have
Right.
a site plan,
Right.
we have, you know, they were very close to getting an approved site plan when the property was acquired, so we just
Right.
need to go to that surveyor and ask for a stakeout.
That's what Anne Marie said
Yeah.
yesterday at our meeting, that, you know, we would have the survey, and that's really
Yeah.
code enforcement.
We just need to
that
go
would
back to
handle
the
that, yeah.
surveyor and ask for a stakeout, and they
Mhm.
put stakes every 100 feet or
Mhm.
whatever it is to depict the boundary of the
Yeah.
property, and then we would know exactly where our property is
Mhm.
and what we have to work with.
The surveyor has to do that, code enforcement doesn't.
Code
Yeah.
enforcement can take care of if there's dumping there,
Right.
that's clear dumping on the property. But I think when you were talking about setting up the trails and how everything would
Okay,
be
yeah,
situated,
there
then
would-
if
yeah.
to have it flagged prior to that, and when you'd want it flagged before you start, you
Yeah.
know,
Right, absolutely,
you know, clearing anything for a trail or anything else, so.
Okay.
But I think probably the way to go is a timeline with this,
Mhm.
so that because there are a lot of, involvement from different, groups, and different departments here.
Mhm.
If you guys want to produce a timeline, or if you wanna work with, engineering, I know Highway said they were gonna be able to clear some of it, for a timeline for that, and also with the Jamesport Civic, I think that they'll be helpful, so I think if you guys wanna start with something, just, you know, it's a roughed out timeline, and then we can, you know, start figuring out who's gonna do
Great.
what when, so
Yeah.
that it's, you
Good.
know, not
Great.
halfway done, and then a year later, come back and finish the
Okay.
rest.
Good.
Maybe
Yeah.
engineering someone from engineering could come to your next meeting, or you,
When do you meet?
We meet the third Wednesday of every month.
In the
2
evenings?
2 PM.
No,
It
Oh,
changed to
2.
2 PM.
Oh, good.
We should take somebody from engineering out there with us.
That's
next
what I
time.
was wondering.
Yes, yeah. We could have a field trip meeting if we want.
We did that in rec. didn't
So
we?
that's for your, that's for the Jamesport?
Yeah.
Or for-
That is
Jamesport, and,
Jamesport.
well, and also
Y-
for the
yeah,
dumping
the-
at Kapelinski,
Kapelinski.
yeah.
Okay, so let, the dumping, we can,
We should be
we
working
can
on that.
look at, we can have somebody go out and look at
Mhm.
that this week.
North Fork Preserve, we know our town's responsibility is maintenance once improvements have been made, so who knows when that will be. And as you know, there was a North Fork Preserve committee that I ended up chairing for Al. Thank you, Al.
They came in and started clearing without any notification over there, has that been?
Well, the drainage
Yeah.
issues, it's sort of a separate and messy, and not part of, so we filed our recommendations, which were
Okay.
totally different than the draft plan, produced by the county, which was everything but the kitchen sink, including a splash pool and a
So they
little
wanted
store and
active recreation there.
Very active
Very active.
recreation. And the whole issue again about using county money, they wanted something for people further west, and so with the riding state, the horse people were there, the people who want to
The
park their
soccer people,
RVs there
the-
with.
So what
and
did it end up, what did it end up getting preserved as, active rec or
The county
hamlet
is,
rec?
the county has preserved it as active recreation.
Mhm.
Our recommendations, the committee's recommendations were all passive, with very minimal
Yeah, there was-
intrusion.
Improvements.
There was something for everyone on the,
Yeah,
plan.
so I don't think, the county doesn't seem interested in pursuing that now.
Correct. I think that has been taken off the table.
Which is good news for us.
Mhm.
It's a they are still maintaining the trails, it's an incredibly, active, birding site, it's just fantastic. And it's also great cross-country skiing in the winter, it's really, last winter, of course, was a bust, but,
Hey, listen, some winters are good, some of them are not so much, depending on whether you like the snow or
good for
not.
me, bad for you.
Yeah.
Also, in the packet that I gave you of information, Anne Marie had done a summary for the Pine Barrens Society a couple of years ago. And so there's a description of a number of the preserved sites, just informational, you know. Some are the same as we have in our funding request packet, but she did that just for, you know, so you could take a look at that. And
So,
there's farmland in that packet also, but
Okay.
open space in there.
So out of curiosity, as far as for the committee, so like Jamesport is to create a new, park.
Mhm.
And then you have some parks, because obviously in one year, you can't do everything.
right.
So my question is, what is the recommendation of the committee? To attend to the ones that are already have some structure on them, to bring them up to where they need to be, and then create new parks, or sort of do a bit here and a bit there, or, you know, create the new park, then go, you know, with the amount of
Right.
funding that's available?
Right, because Sound Avenue Nature Preserve is up and running, you know, also Weeping Willow is, and, you know, if we can just do these improvements, I think it
Yeah.
really makes them that much more attractive for everyone. Koblinski, we see an opportunity for
Yeah.
people to find
An
out what
easy
these kettle
opportunity.
holes
That-
are, you know, these glacial kettle holes, and, it's a nice hike. You go through a grassland, and then you go into the woodland, and, an educational opportunity. I mean, a couple of years ago, I didn't know what a kettle hole was, but.
I think our total request is 29,000, which, for those 3 properties, which seemed
Yeah.
really reasonable.
Yeah, I think it's important to maintain what we have first before we start building new parks on preserved properties,
Right.
So Jamesport, I think is gonna take us longer,
Yeah.
to put the plans together and to find the money and to move forward and develop a relationship with the civic and decide who's doing what. So I think we should be doing that
As
concurrently.
a timeline
Yeah,
concurrently
yeah,
to get the process
exactly.
in place,
But
so
it's not
that,
gonna happen
gotcha.
immediately.
All right,
So
so-
these 3 things, and Koblinski, while it's not been improved so far, it's an easy improvement.
It's very
It's-
easy,
it's-
and it's, you know, it doesn't take a lot of structure. In other words, we don't have to, install any paving or anything like that.
Yeah.
to Really to make it,
and
and once our
kiosk.
signs go up, you know, it'll show people, we are asking in our funding request for a historical informational sign kind of there to let people
Absolutely.
know where they're going on this trail and that there are kettle holes that
be nice.
exist and what that is and why it's important.
The
And as-
website part is
I was,
probably the
I was
most,
gonna say,
yeah,
as
Yeah.
part of that, can that be included into what
We
you're
have
looking?
an IT department.
your
but-
IT,
Yeah,
Well-
Jim
so-
can also go through the town board coordinator.
So,
Can I, sometimes you don't have to reinvent the wheel, if you just go through on the web for other places that
Mhm.
sort of have,
yeah,
showcase what they have, see if
Mhm.
you see something that you like,
Okay.
Yeah.
and then maybe present that back, and then maybe we can sort of, look at that, something
Mhm.
that's user-friendly and that's able to be access easy.
okay, so we should,
And then we
come
can-
back to you and then, and not go to IT immediately, come back with a plan and,
Cause there'll be a cost to the plan,
yeah,
Yeah.
right? I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
So I think,
Okay.
so you need, so part of it is marketing and informational, right?
Mhm,
So you
mhm.
got to be able to let people know what we have here,
Mm.
and then when they get there, to let them know points of interest
Right.
when they're on
Right.
site.
Right,
So those are two areas.
okay.
So our next member should be a
A
more
web-
more of a
yeah,
computer
yeah.
person than.
I don't think so. I think if you just had a map of the town of Riverhead, I mean, I'm looking at the Blue Way Trail right now in Suffolk County where it just has little dots where the trails are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not as expensive as we could make it as far as, and I am liaison to IT, so I can help you with
Okay,
that.
all right, great, great.
And it doesn't cost a lot of money to add things to the website.
Mhm,
So
good.
just a map
Good.
of the town of Riverhead with dots as to where
Mhm.
these points of interest are, and then you click on the dot, and then it'll give you the history, or it'll give you what you
Yeah.
need.
I think it's gonna be a great addition when all this is identified for the town of Riverhead. And as, I forget who said, you know, you have Saturday afternoon, wanna go take a little walk somewhere, if all this is shown to you.
It's easy to
right,
go.
Yeah, it'd be easy to go, you're right here in Riverhead.
Cause I think people do drive past, they see these signs, they drive past and they go, oh, that's nice,
Yeah.
but what is it?
Yeah.
And they've already gone past, and when they,
Well,
So-
someday we'll get the phone icons there and all you do is write,
yeah.
put your phone, yeah. But maybe not right now.
Yeah, we can.
Now, are those,
can dream.
those are gonna go on wooden signs, or they're gonna go on
I
wooden
would
posts?
imagine they would go on wooden posts, yeah, we have a screw hole at the top and the bottom, so I guess they could be, you know.
But not the metal, right?
Well,
Maybe metal.
I know cost-wise, but.
Yeah, the highway department has been kind enough over the years to provide the signs and install the signs, and I think the highway department uses metal.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what we have right now, when you type in Town of Riverhead Recreation Trails.
Right.
And we designed this, the Alternative Transportation Committee years ago. So when you scroll down, you'll see, the history of the different trails, wear a helmet, and then this is the map of the town of Riverhead that has all the points of interest. So it has the Georgetown Community Center, it has the duck ponds in Wading River, it has everything on it. So we can definitely add onto
that.
this,
Great.
the preserved
The open
spaces.
space, the public access open
Mhm.
space.
Yep,
Yeah,
so we already have it.
goes from
It's already
open
there.
space to that.
So we
Here's
can
the
just add,
directory. We could just add
that
to
kind-
it.
Yeah.
Yep.
mhm.
Great.
That sounds great, yeah.
Community gardens on here.
Well, thanks for coming, we gave you a lot more work to do.
I know.
Yeah, I was like, I could tell you about more properties,
Thanks
but
for
I think
doing
I
so-
won't.
More. But the Open Space Committee is appreciative of Councilman Wooten for being our liaison, and also to Councilwoman Kent for her short time that she was our
No,
liaison.
I miss the group.
And without our council, Emery Prudente, we would be in a rut half the time. She gets us going, and she has a lot of enthusiasm and knowledge, so we appreciate that.
Yeah, and Catherine might be coming back with Councilman Wooten termed out at the end of the year.
That'd be great.
Nice you to volunteer, everybody.
Yeah. Council, he's taking about 40 jobs, according to the things he says.
Okay.
And once again, you're down a member, so if anybody is interested in getting involved and being on the committee, or just finding out more information, how they can either participate in supporting the open space we have here, or working towards, the parks and maintaining the parks, or any, what you were looking for, a tree, or, whatever somebody has, or if they have some questions, they can call down through our town clerk, and they will refer the information over to you guys. And your
Great.
committee is also listed, I think your contact, we have all the committees listed on our town website, and your contact information is on there also.
Okay.
But certainly if somebody's interested in applying to
Sure.
go
And
through
Eagle
the town
Scout
clerk.
projects are welcomed, but they need to come to the committee
Come to the
first, so they
committee
can
first, yeah.
make sure everything's appropriate.
Absolutely, and if a potential candidate for joining the committee would like to come to a meeting and chat with us, that's great.
And
Maybe
that's the
two
third,
candidates.
and you have it,
More than once.
you hold it here in this room?
Yep.
On the,
We
Usually
do, but
in the
we
small
often end up
conference
in the.
room.
okay, so, but it's
Yeah.
here in Town Hall on the
Yes.
third Wednesday of every month at 2 p.m.
Right.
All right, and all are welcome to come sit in?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And you guys are lovely, so they should come down just to come have a chat.
Thank you for your
Thank you
time.
so much, thank you
Thank
for all
you.
your hard work.
Thank you.
Do you wanna take these back with you, or you wanna?
Oh,
leave them?
yes,
Yeah,
actually,
okay, thank you.
The list?
Yeah. Of the preserve properties?
Yeah.
No, Joanne has a more updated one.
See, I knew it. When we're supposed to sidle out, so
You impale yourself with the sign.
Bye, guys, have a good day.
Thank you guys very much. All right, so we.
bye.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
That's all we have on for our discussion items. We'll move on to resolutions. The first is accepts the retirement of a highway, labor crew leader. Next is accepts the retirement of a principal account clerk. 3 is accepts the retirement of a senior wastewater treatment plant operator, 3A. 4 is ratifies and accepts the resignation of a part-time police officer. 5 is it ratifies and accepts the resignation of a part-time police officer. 6 is appoint a temporary full-time food service worker to the seniors program. 7 is appoint a seasonal lifeguard to the recreation department. 8 is approves chapter 255 application of Riverhead Townscape Inc., that's the Riverhead Country Fair, which will take place, Sunday, October 13th.
Save the date.
Save the date. 9 is approves the chapter 255 application of Riverhead United Methodist Church, that's the annual holiday bazaar, which is Saturday, November 23rd, 2019. I can't believe we're going into October, November already. 10 is approved chapter 255 application of Dark Side Productions Inc. Haunted House Walkthrough, that's October 3rd through November 3rd. 11 is award bids for preparation of a pattern book for the Town of Riverhead Downtown Business District.
Wait, what is,
Which one?
so the bids came in,
Mm-hmm.
and we would normally get a summary as to who bid and what the cost was. So now we're awarding the bid.
Carol sent that out by email to everybody a couple of weeks ago, and then
And
it
what was
went to.
the cost?
There was an evaluation committee that sat down, which was myself, Jim Wooten, Catherine Kent, CDA, Emery Bendy, Marie sorted
Jeff
through, and
Murphy,
Jeff Murphy's.
So what is the cost?
Anne Marie finished the final negotiations.
Because I don't see the contract in here, and if we're awarding a bid, the contract should be attached to this.
Yep, so we will have that done before Tuesday. We could probably have it done by the end of the day today.
Yeah, I would like the contract sent in my email also.
Well, we'll put it in Granicus, and then you can look at it from Granicus.
Okay, so that'll be in there by the end of the day today?
I hope so, Jody, that if it's not, yes, they can put it in by the end of the day. If not, it'll be there by Friday.
Okay,
Uh,
well,
Next is rejects bid for the Town of Riverhead Reeves Beach precast concrete restroom installation. 13 is authorizes town clerk to publish and post the attached notice to bidders of the Town of Riverhead Reeves Beach precast concrete restroom furnish and
You
delivery.
need help?
Furnish and delivery. So the bids came in high so that they are, they're reposting, with, some of the work will be done in-house. 14 is approves a license agreement between Waddington Realty Company and the Town of Riverhead for utilization of Town of Riverhead parking facilities. 15 is EWR Road Resurfacing Grant Budget Adoption.
what is that?
This is
Green weather.
extreme weather, it's a grant, we get the chips, we get the,
Okay.
I forget what the other,
Yeah, we usually get this annually.
yeah. Next is authorizes installation of security cameras and technology upgrade to police headquarters pursuant to general municipal law.
Yay.
That's to move forward with the cameras.
Yay.
17 is authorizes the supervisor to execute lease renewal agreement, authorizing the town to lease a vehicle from Suffolk County Office for the Aging for transportation services for elderly residents. That's a new car coming from the county to be used for Meals on Wheels. So very happy to have that. The cars there are on their last
Certainly
legs.
needed.
Next is approve expenditure of community benefit funds for the purchase of 2 passenger buses with handicap accessibility for the town senior citizens department pursuant to general municipal law 103. This is the senior center has, I believe it's 5 buses, that 2 of them or 3 of them have been in the shop. They are in very, very poor condition. Last week, I believe we had, the bus going out and the bus was, smoking, and everybody had to be evacuated from the bus and, picked up on other cars. So this is to purchase 2 buses for the seniors for transportation, not only for shopping, for pickup to come to the senior center, and a few other items that they do there.
So, seeing as we're spending more of the community benefit fund, Bill, can you look at the fiscal impact statement and adjust it as you did for me the last time I requested you to do that, please, so I can see which accounts it's coming out of? Thank you.
Bill, we can write that in the fiscal impact statement also on these
That's what I'm
ones.
asking him to do,
I have it approved, but I'll do the same thing as.
Yeah, you have it, okay. So the account from the fiscal, yeah.
because it says appropriation account to be charged, so,
Right, and once again, this is just, it was submitted by the department, and between usually work sessions, sometimes it's Tuesday, Bill will occasionally approve them if he doesn't approve them before Thursday, depending on when they come in, so.
right, so last time, we were making adjustments to it the day of the town board meeting, so if the department head is gonna be using community benefit funds, I would recommend that they coordinate with Bill before they send the resolution in, so that we can determine where the account is coming from, so that we're not scrambling last minute to make sure that we have the correct appropriation.
And I'm gonna say, just for, the department's head behalf, they have spoken to Bill beforehand, and it's just the accounts coming out of the accounting department so that it's in the fiscal impact statement. So that, thank you, I appreciate that.
So then what John said is not correct, where the department heads just send it in without sometimes coordinating with Bill?
No.
Sometimes minor resolutions, they will not directly coordinate. This is something, though, that I believe they have spoken to them about. This is, $58,000 per vehicle. If it's a minor budget transfer, they might not call Bill about it, but there will be resolution, and then accounting will process it. So it depends on the situation. It's not always the same.
Well, we've gotta have a running tally of what's coming out of the community benefit fund, so we don't overspend.
Right, and we all
Thank
agree
you.
with that.
That's all.
Next is G&Z Retirement Community Lateral Water Main Extension Project number 81852, budget adjustment. This one, Iglesia La Novo, Nueva, sorry. Jerusalem Water Service Installation Project 81957. And next is, we have very short resolutions today. Authorizes notice to bidders rehabilitation of plant number 4, contract G, Riverhead Water District. And that is it.
Laura, I do actually have 2 additional handed to both of you. They're 2 posts and publishes. We had SECRA for the solar clearing resolution that was done a while ago, and SECRA for the code change regarding, remember when we changed our SECRA at the end of last year, and there was that tweak in there about if a development has 50 spots or more?
yeah.
So we did SECRA on that as well, so I have posts and publishes from Jeff Murphy. We're just having printing problems, but I'll hand them to you guys, and I'll give them to Tim and the press.
Okay,
Because we want to add those in, or Jeff has to add those in.
okay. Is everybody okay with that?
I'm good with it.
All right,
I thought it was too good to be true that there were so few.
yeah. All right.
Please.
So can I have a first and second to go into executive session, negotiations of an employee contract, and contractual addressment to a personnel agreement?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.